You've talked about Ocrevus and I think Aubagio as being good DMTs for people with primary progressive MS or progressive forms of MS. Is there any other approved medications that you recommend for people who are in the progressive stage?
So the only drug that's FDA approved for primary progressive MS is Ocrevus.
Okay.
We off-label will use other B cell depleters to treat PPMS because of logic, but it's not approved for that purpose. And so we will use other B cell depleters like rituximab, Truxima, Briumvi, Kesimpta in progressive, primary progressive. I have used Mavenclad a few times in progressive MS. There's some data that Mayzent may work in secondary progressive MS, but I think the data is really poor, and I don't believe the data, and so I don't personally buy into doing that. Um, Probably the biggest excitement in the field right now is the recent outcomes for a trial called Hercules. And the Hercules trial studied a drug called tolobrutinib. I didn't make up that name. Tolobrutinib is a new class of medicine in MS called a BTK inhibitor. And it's being studied a lot in MS right now. And thus far, it hasn't worked in relapsing MS, but it did work in the Hercules trial in secondary progressive MS. So this is a population of people that used to have attacks, but haven't had attacks in a long time, and they're getting worse. And when they took tolobrutinib, they slowed down worsening by 29% compared to placebo, which is a really big deal. So right now, that's being fast-tracked at the EMA and at the FDA. And we think that we may see approval as early as next month. And so we're very, very excited and very hopeful about that.
That's amazing. I feel like a lot of us have been following the BTK journey for several years at this point. So that's really cool to see it getting ready to come to market.